Please, ladies and gentlemen, let's jam our hands for Mr. Chinedu Mogbo.
Thank you very much. Wow. It's been an amazing sessions since I've been here. I've listened to finance, I've listened to tourism, and even in the last speaker who spoke about circular economy. But I'm going to focus a little bit on conservation, or mainly conservation. So personally, myself, my name is Chinedu. I work in wildlife conservation. Now, and I'm not talking about maybe the research, or I'm talking about actual active wildlife conservation. And it's a strange thing to hear in Nigeria, I know, but it's a very important thing. I started this journey 13 years ago when it wasn't a popular thing. I mean, I wasn't here, we weren't hearing much about conservation, or weren't hearing much about tourism involving conservation or anything that has to do with wildlife or biodiversity in Nigeria. But with time now, we have started seeing more publications, more information regarding that out there. So what do? I'm mostly a wildlife rehabber and an educationist. So what we do when I say wildlife rehabber is that first thing we need to all know is that Lagos has a biodiversity. I mean, I'm sure many of us may not have seen, or you may just have seen a few birds and think that that's all that we have in Lagos. What we have in Lagos can compare us to what we have, or what you've seen in places like Kenya, Tanzania, or because we really have a very rich biodiversity. But where is it? That's the question. Where is it? Where are these things? But the question, I'll point our fingers back at us to say, yeah, you've gotten rid of them in a very, very subtle way, but they are vanishing. So what we do is that we go in there and get this wildlife, care for them, and put them back in wild spaces. And for those that can't go into wild spaces, we keep them in what we have created called a wildlife sanctuary, where people can come and learn about wildlife, and I mean a lot of wildlife. Okay, so I titled this, I got it, I'm not the person, if you check your flyer, I'm not the person that's supposed to be here, but I standing in on his behalf, but also representing what I'm talking about, Lagos Rising, building the green future together. Because it's not always a popular thing to talk about conservation or to actually do conservation here in Nigeria. And it was amazing hearing the person who spoke about tourism. And I've always wanted to ask, when Nigerians or people from outside Nigeria come to Nigeria, does anybody think of wildlife tourism? Or does anybody even think about connecting with nature or biodiversity? And if they do, where do they get that in a city like Lagos? And I know some people will say, oh yes, we go to NCF, we go and walk the canopy walkway and we get to see monkeys. Is that the height of our conservation, or is that a height of what ecological tourism or wildlife tourism should be in Lagos? Please, we can, next slide, please. Yes. So the next era of global growth and innovation will not come from traditional centers of power. It will rise from cities like Lagos. Lagos is not just a city, it's an opportunity. And I say that very, very confidently, because when I started out, it was from not even seeing any example. There was no example for us to copy and emulate in a city like Lagos. So right now we've been working in a space where, as far as I'm concerned, there is no replica currently. For the past 13 years, there's no replica of what we already have set up. So the question is, what role will you play once given that opportunity? Once you have seen a problem and once you've been able to identify the problem, what will you do with that? Next slide, please. My question was, when the opportunity comes, what role will you play? Next slide, thank you. So this is Lagos. This is the main city. I know we have places like the peninsula on the eastern and on the western side. But I think this, in a nutshell, completely identifies what Lagos currently is, and if we are not careful, what the peninsula will become in a very short while, and what is missing, which is actually very clear. What is missing? Green. A lot of green is missing. So basically, we are now living in concrete jungles. Place yourself at the center of this place where there's absence of trees, absence of life. And when I say life, I'm not talking about human life. I'm talking about an ecosystem. We cannot, and I must say this very, very clearly, we cannot exist as only humans on the planet. It's going to be a failed system. Has it been tried before? And if ever it has been tried before, I don't think it's been tried before, and if it's ever tried, we will fail miserably. So this is Lagos. This is typical Lagos. How do we change this? What is happening currently now that is changing it? And what will you do? Now you've been given an opportunity to change this system. Next slide, please. These are just some facts I researched and put up there. And it tells you about how Lagos State is losing billions of dollars as a result of environmental actions, from pollution to air pollution, the death, the people that are dying as a result of air pollution, which some of us may not understand, but it's this data, this information is fact, because the number of people who are dying currently from air pollution, I mean, just go and stand in the middle of the marina, go to marina, the noise, the air, then go to places like the peninsula, go to and compare and see what is the life expectancy of people who live within such dense environments compared to people who live in areas where, I mean, simple biology. We know simple biology that your trees produce oxygen and humans breathe in oxygen. So if you are living in a place where there is no producer of your oxygen, what are we depending on? The question is, what are you depending on? And those are the things we need to talk about and need to think about. So we look at flooding and waste, and people will say it's flooding. And I'm sure for the past few years we have seen when the rains come, the whole of Lagos is underwater. People are talking about, people are saying, people are not even understanding how bad it's getting. People have, a few people who I have talked to who actually manage massive projects along the coastline. They have said that all it needs is just one storm, and Lagos is underwater. Just one storm, the whole of the island will sink. And it's not the first place that something like this will happen. But what are we doing to mitigate that? Are we seeing, okay, look at the coastal road that is being built now. Some of us were just excited that, yes, a road is being built. But if you have ever passed through that road, have you seen what is currently happening along the axis, where as a result of lack of planning and poor planning, things are happening, and you see the engineers are working, trying to mitigate those things that is, for example, on the part of the road that is closest to the ocean. As of July of this year, the water was coming onto the road. So the water was splashing onto the road, and what is it also doing is washing underneath the road, and that was why they had to take a step further to start building walls. But is that a permanent solution? But is that what we should be thinking about as a result of that? The question we should be asking is, why is the water getting this close? But remember, it's nature, it's a cycle, it's a system. Once one part has been tampered with, remember Bar Beach many years ago, it's been pushed back, the water has been pushed back, but water can't be pushed back. You push back water, it will go to where there is less restraint or where there's less force. And a lot of communities right now are suffering as a result of some of these actions. But who is holding anyone accountable? Who is holding anyone calling everyone's attention to book and to see that these are some of the issues that are going on. Next, please. So these are some more facts. Next slide, please. So we talk about a changing world. Please move to the next slide. Thank you. Climate change, we have seen, is reshaping lives. Sorry, previous slide. It's reshaping lives. We've seen floods. We're getting into the dry season. We're going to be expecting some new heat waves. And we've seen biodiversity loss. Those are some of the things we know are already challenging our future. But young people, innovators, the youths are the people who can and who should rise up to look at these issues, begin to raise questions. I mean, I'm a teacher, and I teach sciences. And in dealing with any situation, I always go through the scientific theory method, which is number one, to identify the problem. And I know even without even me asking any one of you any question, if you already know what the problems we currently face right now are. Now, this is besides problems that may be profitable. Some people can identify a problem and can begin to find ways to make a profit even while solving such problems, which is also very good. Look at tourism. People want to travel. People want to travel into Lagos. It's a problem. I don't know what to do when I go into a city like this. How can we think about what the people that are coming into can do, still have a good time, but still ensure that they gain experiences and the culture of the place they are moving into is not even tampered with? So those are brilliant ways of thinking. And when we think in such ways, we are able to make excellent decisions. Next slide, please. Thank you. But there's good news. Oh, yes. I'm sure you may not tell, but clearly you know this is not Lagos. This is Kenya. All right? And why I put up this picture was just to showcase, I'm sure if it was our city, either half of it will be dark and half of it will be bright, or they'll just have few speckles of light, because it's also a problem. Power, sustainable energy. How are we able to still utilize the resources we have, which are natural, to still solve our problems? These are the ways conservationists should begin to think. Next slide, please. So when we talk about nature and livelihoods, because like I said, I'll be coming from a wildlife side of it and still see how we can deal with projects or handle projects that can contribute to conservation and also be profitable for not the communities and yourselves also. The idea and what I started with was, when nature thrives, people thrive. We cannot thrive without nature. Supposedly, one animal, as a result of mishandling, caused a global lockdown. Many of you may not have known, but yes, during the COVID, it was linked to one animal that caused the viral load, or the bacterial, the viral load to jump from, because as a result of close proximity, it jumped from the animal to human, and that caused an epidemic, a pandemic, and the world was shut down. But do you think that such things cannot happen even within our own current current space? It can. It is happening. We've seen loss of certain species in Nigeria. For example, vultures, one of the vultures, the hooded vultures, used to be popular everywhere in Lagos, in every part of the city, but now you don't see them anymore. They have been killed off for voodoo. I mean, yes, because no one cared about them, so they were just, those traditionalists felt that let's take as much as we can out of circulation, out of the natural environment, and see what happens. So what is happening now? We've seen outbreaks of cholera. We've seen outbreaks of diseases, and a lot of people are dying. And these are the same people that we should have worked together with to preserve these species. Because yes, as we might see ourselves living in the city, living in the concrete jungle, there is a whole new world, a bigger world out there by the coastal communities. They are living a different kind of life compared to what we are living here. However, what they might be suffering there, what they might be suffering from, we will also experience such loss. For example, fishing. Fishing is their major is one of their major trade in the coastal communities. And what we are seeing now is that as they go out to fish now, more and more, they are catching less fish. Why are they catching less fish? Because the seabeds have all been eroded. And what we are seeing now, because seabeds have been eroded, there is no fish production. Fishes are not reproducing as they should reproduce. And as a result of that, we are losing out on even our local fauna within the lagoons. These fishermen now can no longer fish and catch fish as they should. And we start seeing that fish in the market will now become, the local fish you will go and buy will now become more expensive. We will now have to import fish. And with importing fish, it creates what? We have to do use a lot of preservatives to ensure these fish are fresh. You consume these preservatives, and what happens? Health starts to decline. There's always something. One action trickles down to a lot of effects. Thank you. Next one, please. So in Lagos, previous one, in Lagos, conservation is not separate from people's lives. I don't know how many of you have ever seen that animal before in Nigeria or even in Lagos, but they do exist. Now that is a loggerhead turtle that you find them along the coastal region. And I'm going to use turtles for most of my conversation because when you work in the coastal communities, that is one of the major species you get to see. And we can build a whole economy, an economy of tourism, an economy of wealth just by working with this animal. And I cannot tell you the different countries, different places where just turtles alone bring billions. And we have these things. But guess what? Somebody is sitting down there and is just eating them, and we continue to lose our resources. So we need the communities. We need people. We need those people who live there. Next slide, please. And we cannot do anything without them. Our work within the communities, and I have to be very clear on this, it's never a direct approach. Most Nigerians want something quick. They are not always, when we talk about sustainable, it's not, or something that is sustainable, which means leave it, let it keep on regenerating and producing for you. Most Nigerians don't understand that. They want it, I want to fill my belly now. Let me just take it now. Let me have it now. And because of that, it hinders a lot of growth for the future. Now, painting a picture, turtles come to a community. We have a community there. Turtles come there. They lay their eggs. From July till February, they lay their eggs and they go back. In 60 days, you see hundreds of hatchlings coming out and going back out. This is what a lot of people pay thousands and thousands of dollars to experience. But see what happens. That's the normal situation. But what happens is that they see the turtle. They know the turtle is coming to nest, right? So they see the turtle. They capture it. They go cut it open, harvest it. They've eaten that. And once they've opened it, they've seen the eggs inside. They harvest all the eggs there, cook the eggs. So they have basically now wasted the turtle and they've wasted the next generation. Okay, they've seen the turtle. The turtle has done this and has gone back. What would they do? They will follow the tracks back to the place where the turtle laid the egg. They dig it out and they do what? They bring up the eggs and it's consumed. Or they wait when they didn't see the turtle, they didn't see the eggs. They wait for the hatchlings to come out. Once the hatchlings are going, they pack all of them, put them inside buckets, and go and use them for some traditional things. So a whole cycle is being destroyed. How do we replenish that? So here are some of the things that can happen or should happen. Going into such communities, we are able to talk with these fishermen. Are you fishing? Yes, I'm fishing. Do you catch fish as you used to catch fish? No, we don't catch fish as we used to catch fish. Right now, we are seeing a lot of jellyfish, and I have witnessed that they will pull out miles-long nets that are that stretch for miles. They'll drag it out. And what is in that net is just jelly, gunk that they just carry and throw back into the ocean because there is no fish. What is causing you not to have fish is the jellyfish that is there. What can control the population of jellyfish? It's the turtles you have been killing. And that break in chain, that destruction of the turtles, have now led you to starve. So what do? Let's come to an agreement. Let's discuss. In this community, we're going to save turtles. And in saving the turtles, what are we going to do? We're going to, as each turtle comes, if you see it, record it. If it hatches, record it. So what happens is that we will exchange the nests for nets, for example, because most fishermen, what they want the most is nets. So as you continue to save turtles over the years, we'll give you fishing nets, because one of the problems they also have is when they go to fish, when they catch some of these things, their nets are broken and they always have to keep repairing. So we establish a cycle, a sustainable cycle where that community is protecting turtles. That community is also doing other things. For example, when I say local, freshwater fishing or poultry, something that keeps the community to engage in such actions. And as they do that, what do you see? You see now one community has devoted themselves to protecting that sea turtles, and every year within this season, between now and February, you begin to see hatchlings. And guess who wants to see turtles hatch? Everybody. I'm sure you might not get the idea, but I was at the beach yesterday. I took a turtle to go and release. There were some beach goers there. And these are Nigerians, and what did I see? Everybody gathered. They had not seen this before. They were so excited to see that, oh wow, it's so big. I didn't know it was this big. They wanted to see this turtle go back. And when we put this into the water, everyone let out a scream. Everyone was happy. There was this excitement. What we have created there for them was an experience. Now, these are the things people will pay money for in that community to come there. And with such projects, we can now begin to upscale. We can now talk to finance people, because companies who are doing CSR, who are doing CSR, blue, you hear about blue economy, you hear about all this green economy. These are some of the things that feed into such initiatives and can be sponsored and can be sponsored and supported, and that will see growth within that community. Thank you. Next slide, please. Next slide. So technology also is important. We use drones to do a lot of work within that same space, so we can also incorporate technology. Thank you. Next one, please. And innovation. Wetlands, we need to protect our wetlands. Sea turtles returns, green jobs will be provided to power the economy, and young innovators will create climate-smart cities, and that's the Lagos we're building. The issue of plastic cannot be underestimated. Plastic is a menace, and I'm happy for Mr. Akindisu here, who is doing such a great job, because this plastic already can see or leads to the extinction of sea turtles. Because once plastic is on the beach, the sun hits the plastic, it increases the temperature of the soil, of the sand. Sea turtles lay their eggs in the sand. Once the temperature goes higher by 1 degree, all the genders of the eggs become female. Due to the heat of the sand, only females will be hatched. And if only females are being hatched, the productivity of production of sea turtles will end. So you can see how how everyone's actions all come together to conserve and to save a species. I'm talking about just the sea turtles now, but there are other communities all over the place. In the forest, on land, inland, on the mainland, many communities. And within each communities, there are species that need to be conserved, you need to work with to be able to see how you can drive innovation and how you can even seek grants to help promote. And because I think the person who spoke about finance showed a lot of, when you have a community, when you have the community engaged in your project, you will find out that you are able to apply for grants, because such requests need a very strong community driven project. Next one. Thank you. And young people, everyone is involved. Everyone is needed to do or promote or to help in ensuring that conservation remains relevant. So even as something as little as a beach cleanup is conservation at work. And everyone needs to be involved. And besides all this, getting data, because one thing I've also seen, especially here in Lagos, is that we lack information in the wildlife space. There's little data, little information. I'm sure if I ask some people to mention 20 of the animals that I found here in Lagos, you may not, because there's no documents. If you go online, 20 animals found in Lagos, you will not see anything like that, because we lack data. And the universities, I will not say I'm really impressed by what is happening in most of the universities, but it's still not encouraging young people to move out into those specific areas, especially in areas of wildlife conservation, to ensure that what we have here in Nigeria, in Lagos, is very well protected. So you don't need to wait to be older or richer, just start. Now imagine a Lagos where every youth knows how to care for the earth, where it's ingrained in you. And it's not normally, it won't just be ingrained in you, it has to be taught. It has to be, we have to be deliberate to ensure that such information is put into everyone who is responsible. So it's not a dream. That should not be a dream where every job created is green and sustainable. That's not a dream. It's a choice. And it's a choice we must make today. So I will appeal to every one of us. We must be conservation conscious. We must be environmentally conscious. We must be wildlife conscious, because you in the center, humans at the center, without all this this wildlife or all the biodiversity around us, we will not be able to exist. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chinedu. When you were speaking, I thought of two main things. I was reminded of Okonkwo's dilemma in Things Fall Apart. I don't know whether you can remember when they locked up the native doctor. And so they couldn't say the prayers, and because they couldn't say the prayers, they couldn't plant the new yam, and because they couldn't plant the new yam, they starved. And there was nothing anybody could do about it. Things fell apart. A lot of times it does feel as if we are stuck in a Things Fall Apart trilogy in Lagos State, you know, where we don't do what we should do when we should, and then we end up in this situation where it seems helpless. But for you, the youths who are planning the next 30, 40 years, this is the time to actually slow down and think about everybody here. If you listen to all the speakers, they are passionate about what it is they've done or they're doing with their lives. So you have to think about service to your community. We keep on talking about communities, and it is, you know, a city as big as it is just a collection of communities. We need to talk about service to your community, civic responsibility, our duty to the state and the country and the people, our neighbors and families. And in all of this, you know, this is how you craft a new Lagos, you know, by thinking about all the things, the flora, the fauna, the standard of living that you want. You will have to create it yourself. Nobody's going to give it to you. You know, thank you very much.